Hello, thank you for joining. I'm excited to review the company report, which will be an overview and in-depth deep dive on some trends identified based on the data provided by our newly hired consultant. The data provides key insights across education, tenure, salary, and job satisfaction. Overall, our employees seem to be satisfied, but there are some areas we should dig into. Additionally, we can say with 95% confidence our average education, tenure, salary, and job satisfaction within two standard errors. The distribution of employee volume by department does align to what we'd anticipate based on role demand, largest department being production at 29% of our overall employee base, smallest department is management at 9% of the overall employee base, and the rest of the employees are fairly evenly spread across marketing, sales, and administrative support. Although our overall company composition is fairly even between males and females, it is of note that in certain departments we do see a difference between that ratio. Management, there's 78% male, production is 78% male, and administrative support is 79% female. It's worth looking into. After observing the differences in gender by department, I think it's important to inspect our job descriptions and hiring process to ensure we're offering inclusive and non-biased opportunities. Also wanted to look at the salary by gender and department, and great news is we don't seem to have a gender wage gap. We're paying people fairly regardless of gender. Upon inspection, I did note a salary trend. The more education our employees have, the higher their average salaries tend to be. And this is appropriate as we're likely paying people fairly for their certifications, credentials, and expertise of their role. In contrast to the correlation between education and salary, there doesn't seem to be a strong correlation between tenure and salary. There are some individuals making more the longer they've been here, but on average, it doesn't seem to be a significant difference by years and amount of pay. Job satisfaction is where it gets interesting. Looking at the company overall, it's hard to see the trends, but if you look at department individually, sales, for example, has a median and average that's lower than the rest because no one scored 10, which is the highest score, and Plant 2 seems to be very dissatisfied in comparison. Isolating the two departments with generally lower scores, you can see that sales is not necessarily completely dissatisfied, just on the lower end of the scale with no one at the highest satisfaction. Plant 2, on the other hand, demonstrates a clear dissatisfaction. While I couldn't find a specific cause for either, a greater assessment should be conducted. Now I'll just take you through the appendix, which will just give a little bit more color and context to some of the earlier statements that I made in the presentation. Here, I just wanted to note that when we looked at the average salaries by department and gender earlier, there wasn't a notable difference when you look at the median either. So there aren't any particular outliers pulling those averages up or down in one direction or the other, which is good. Here, as we break out the correlation between education and salary by department, you can see the trend holds true that the more years of education our employees have on average, the higher their annual salary, which means that we are paying people, compensating them fairly for their credentials, certifications, and expertise. As I dug further into job satisfaction, the next few pages really just break out that there's no real trend by gender, tenure, or salary for job dissatisfaction, which is why I think there needs to be a more in-depth root cause analysis and qualitative investigation. Again, as the previous page showed no correlation between job dissatisfaction and gender, again here with salary, there's no real correlation between how much a person is getting paid and their dissatisfaction. And the final breakout inspection here was on tenure. Again, you can see by department, there's no real correlation between dissatisfaction and tenure, the number of years they've been in their department at the company. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate, after outlining in my previous report the value in better understanding, inspecting, and validating data elements, the sources, and how they were collected, that we were able to bring in a consultant for research insights which will inform and improve our process structure and employee satisfaction. This concludes my presentation.